What's going on, everybody? Good late afternoon, and we need to talk about injuries, guys. We got to talk about these injuries. The Seahawks got a lot of them. You guys know, we saw it in that Detroit game, and we're still kind of wondering, when's it going to stop? When's it going to be better? Also, on top of those injuries, we also have a little bit of an interesting day today because today was the first day where the players who started the season on the PUP list were eligible to start practicing. So we're also going to have to discuss that a little bit. Now, usually by now, what we would have is a practice report. We do not. Practice started later than usual today, so therefore we do not have a practice report. We'll probably get one later today. However, it needs to be noted that the Seahawks ran a walkthrough today. So it wasn't a real practice. So therefore, we don't have meaningful practice participation data. It'll be an estimate. So even once we get that, it's not really going to tell us that much. So unfortunately, we're going to have to work with what we have. And what we have is mostly quotes from Mike Macdonald, who has very much been deceptive in the way he's addressed injuries so far. Nevertheless, he actually gave us some pretty substantial data today when talking about some of these players. So let's go ahead and go through here. Mostly Brady Henderson providing the data, but let's just parse through what we can. So Brady Henderson leads off with discussion on the PUP. Players who began the season on PUP are eligible to begin practicing this week. Now, we had 3 players on the PUP, and according to Macdonald, one of them is going to start practicing this week. That player is defensive tackle, nose tackle, Cam Young. And that's no small thing if we can get him back, because we don't really have the nose tackle that we would like to have right now, right? Because of the Byron Murphy stuff, we're looking at Hankins, we're looking at Reed, and I don't think that Macdonald really likes Reed playing nose tackle that much, because he is undersized. That's just my guess. So I think getting someone like Cam Young back might matter. Now, just because he's going to start practicing this week doesn't mean he'll be able to play, but he's coming along. So Cam Young looks like he will be back soon, and we'll at least see him practicing this week. However, no Abe Lucas, which shouldn't be surprising to anybody, and no Jarek Reed, which also should not be surprising to anybody. Both those guys very clearly a ways away from being able to play again. And based on everything that we heard, there was not much anticipation for those 2 guys. So that's the PUP talk. Now let's talk about the actual stuff that is really going to impact this team on Sunday. That is the guys up front that we did not have against Detroit that contributed to a pretty embarrassing defensive performance. Now, again, I want to stress, this is a walkthrough. This is not anything that is going to necessarily be indicative of whether or not these guys can play, but it's all we got right now, and what we have is not bad. Leonard Williams and Boye Mafe did participate in the walkthrough today, according to Macdonald. So those are your top 2 right now. Those are the 2 guys you probably want back the most, Williams and Mafe. Now, Byron Murphy was not in the walkthrough today. And I feel like you can already kind of chalk up Murphy for not playing this week. I don't think we get him this week. I would be very surprised if he played. That's just kind of how I'm mentally preparing myself at this point. And I think that all Seahawks fans should do the same. I think that's a reasonable expectation. They don't want to mess with a hamstring injury. So, Williams and Mafe in the walkthrough. Also, Uchenna Nwosu should be in the walkthrough today. If we get different data later, if they change their mind or things don't play out the way they expected, then we'll address that. But it looks like Nwosu, Mafe, and Williams could have practiced today if there was practice. We'll know more tomorrow, but it looks like we're going to get back those guys, and those are the really important ones. Murphy's good, but he is a guy coming off the bench. Williams, Mafe, and Nwosu are starters on this team, and we need them back in the worst way. So that's definitely good news. I'm definitely encouraged by that. Um, the only other thing that we got any clarity on, because before anybody asks, I heard nothing about Jerome Baker from anybody today. So I don't know what's going on there. Maybe we'll get some data on him later with the actual practice report. But the only other thing that was said from McDonald was that he thinks Julian Love is fine. He got a thigh contusion of some sort. Hard to pinpoint the severity. Obviously, it was enough for him to miss the rest of that Lions game, but there seems to be a belief that Julian Love will be fine. And it sounds like he will be available for the Giants game. I wouldn't marry myself to that belief, but it sounds like Julian Love is going to have a real chance to play. So that's good as well. At the very least, we can say it's not some major injury that will require some kind of surgery, if McDonald is correct. Again, that leaves us in frustrating limbo regarding Baker. I will say Baker was getting close to being able to play last week, so that's a good sign he'll be able to play this week, but I'll believe it when I see it. And I'd prefer if McDonald actually came out and addressed it directly, even if he did so vaguely. Like, looking at the sound bites and quotes we got from the Seahawks coaching staff today, it's almost like they forgot about Baker. Like, he's a starter too, right? Shout out to Tyrese Knight, but I want Baker out there if he's available. So that's really all the injury stuff going on. That's all the data we got. If the practice report is particularly illuminating or there's some notable stuff on it, I'll probably make a video about it later tonight, but keep in mind that we're talking about a walkthrough. Now, the Giants side of things, their injury report, they had an actual practice today because they're on the long week. We're on the short week, but they've got some problems. So, Malik Neighbors, with the concussion, did not practice, and according to the Giants, is in the early phase of concussion protocol. So, I would be very surprised if Neighbors is out there for the Giants on Sunday. It seems like he's going to miss the game. But he's out for now. Devin Singletary with a groin injury, their lead running back, did not practice. Not a great sign. We'll see where it goes. Obviously, tomorrow will be very telling, but not looking great. Adoree Jackson, who missed the game against the Cowboys on Thursday, still not practicing with a calf injury. And he's a pretty important part of that defense. They signed him kind of at the last minute because they were so unhappy with their cornerback selection that they had on the team that they wanted Adoree Jackson to get plugged in as a starter pretty much immediately. And when you get signed at the last minute, it's not a shock when you get hurt very quickly. And that's where Adoree Jackson is right now. If they don't have him, that's a big loss. Drew Phillips, who has been one of the better players on the Giants so far this year, plays a lot of slot corner for them, I believe. Drew Phillips does. Got involved in some turnovers in that first game against the Vikings. Good player. Also did not participate in practice this week. So you got to be concerned there. And that's a lot of what the Giants have going for them, right? You've also got Wan'Dale Robinson limited with the heel injury and Brian Burns limited with the groin injury. Admittedly, neither of those guys are likely to miss the game. If you're limited on Wednesday, you're probably going to go. But you're probably not completely 100%, right? You're probably not all the way there. So, worth monitoring, but probably fine there. And then they're getting Matthew Adams back this week in all likelihood. He was on IR, and this is the week where he's coming back. He was a full participant today. Not that he's a big part of what they do on defense, but it looks like they're going to get Matthew Adams back this week for whatever that's worth. And that's that. So one other thing that we got from McDonald today, not injury related, but I do want to cover it real quick, talking about the rotation at right guard. He said that he anticipates a similar rotation at right guard with Haynes and Bradford. He said both played well and that the O-line probably had its best game Monday, which, despite the problems they had, I actually agree with, and I actually think is a pretty fair statement. And I think both guys overall played okay. So I want to talk about this for just a minute here because I understand why there's motivation to do this, but I really do not like rotating players on the offensive line. So what I would say is that there's a need to do it right now, but as an offensive line, I think you want the continuity. So find out who's better and give that person that is better all the snaps ASAP. I don't think rotating right guards in and out is the play unless you, for some reason, have to. Like we had to, a couple years ago, we had to rotate Gabe Jackson because he would just break down after X number of snaps. In the past, we've had to rotate Jason Peters because he's old and can't play snap after snap after snap after snap. He needs to get breaks. But when it comes to Haynes and Bradford, I don't think either of those things apply. So figure out who's better and have that guy play. Because you destroy your continuity up front when you have guys rotating in and out. So for now, I guess we can accept it. But long term, this is not the preferable option. Okay, I will see you guys later. Maybe another video later today. Go Hawks. If not, I'll see you guys on Twitch. More videos tomorrow. You guys know the drill there. Thank you for watching. And, yeah, go Hawks. Let's clear this injury report up over the week.